Is it recording or not?
It is.
Just staring blankly at me with this Cheshire grin, and I'm like, is it recording? Have you started yet? What in the wizarding world is going on at Hogwarts?
What in the Hogwarts legacy? Yeah, that was giving you a little clue that when this is really being recorded, because is it out at the current time of recording? Is the Harry Potter legacy out?
I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out next week.
Okay, so that would give you a timeline of when we're actually recording this. But do you think you're going to want to play it now that you know more about the wizarding world of Harry Potter?
I just not to mention the plethora of games that I'm more interested in. This is definitely a wait and see if the functions right, see if they got it, if they decided to take their own liberties with it and just differentiate from the book and the canon. I just wanted to make sure I'm not going to go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to learn more about this lore, and it's like, actually, we took a lot of liberties, and it's nothing like the universe at all. And then I'm just wasting my time. Also, I'm dead set on never giving money to this franchise.
Okay, fair enough. So we are
Darren Farinofsky.
Well, okay, we are Two Christians Watch. I'm Hannah, that's Will, and this is a podcast that's under Metamorphic Site Productions, and we watch cinema through a Christian perspective, and then we talk about it. We see film as spiritually valuable, having innate properties that reflect the beauty and truth of God.
It's to recognize spiritual growth points in our own lives that we can see in media and find its true north in scripture.
So normally we usually take time to dissect a film and think about it from that Christian perspective. And we were doing that with Harry Potter, but we've kind of gotten wrapped up in this whole this is very new to us, and the series teeters on ridiculousness in our minds. It's been enjoyable up to this point. I mean, you know, you might have different opinions, but we are now on the sixth
Severus Snape. 6.
We are now on Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and so we are right at the cusp of ending the series with the final 2 movies that are actually the final book. So before we jump into just talking what we're going to talk about, do you want to do the summary first, or do you want to give your out of 10 rating first?
Always the rating first, and then the summary.
Okay. As a Half-Blood Prince, I feel like this 4.5. I feel like it was kind of not the greatest one I've seen so far.
I think if you give it a 4.5, I think I'm going to give it a 5.5. They get a 1 whole extra point than she gave because, well, we'll talk about the Horcruxes and that concept boosted it a point for me. And we'll get to it, but I absolutely love that concept. It feels at least somewhat original compared to other things in other mythos, but the delivery of it is rough and the execution of it is rough so far. So you get a point, but it doesn't even get you to passing, honestly, in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so how about you take away with our summary? So, we left off from Order of the Phoenix, where Umbridge was taken away, and
Voldemort's back
Voldemort
again.
Was confirmed back. It was officially confirmed he's back. So it's almost like the Wizarding world has declared they're in war, kind of, a little bit.
If war is boring and full of delegations and nothing happens and it's full of romance.
Yeah.
So Pearl Harbor.
Oh gosh. Take it away.
This is a doozy of a summary because this is a rough film to try to summarize because a lot of nothingness happens this entire time. So it starts off with Death Eaters in London. Death Eaters are causing chaos in London. They attack a bridge full of people and the death toll starts rising. They are seen sneaking around London. They meet up with the wife of Lucius Malfoy, and she's like, oh, my husband's in jail, and Snape is there, and so Snape is meeting with the Death Eaters, meeting with Miss Malfoy, and it's revealed that Voldemort has decided that Draco Malfoy will be on a secret mission only for him, and she's like, he's only a boy, he can't do it, he's a little child, he's just a baby. Mr. Snape is like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna protect Mr. Draco. I got his back. I got him. And
Bellatrix.
I keep forgetting her name. Bellatrix is like, hey, guess what? got one better for you. What if you form a unbreakable vow with Miss Malfoy that you will protect her son at all costs, and if he fails his mission, you'll do his mission for him. And he swears to it. They link arms. A like lovely magical cord wraps around them, and a bond is formed and a vow is made. Meanwhile, Harry is in this lovely coffee shop reading about the latest magical news, like Umbridge is, under investigation, and Malfoy's arrested, and Voldemort's back. He's reading about this in a magical newspaper, which means all the images move and things are like, wow.
Just like in a train station.
He's in public, regular Muggle public. There's a girl there. She's like, I totally saw your newspaper move. And he's like, nah. And so then she's like, well, you're pretty cute for that. And
for whatever you are.
Yeah. And so he's like, wow. And they're about to they set up like a date.
They're about to smoochy kiss.
Yeah. And so he's like, wow, this is great. And he's like, just kind of vibing. He looks up, magical Dumbledore's across the street staring at him. And so he goes outside. Dumbledore's like, she's pretty cute, but you can't be with her right now. We got stuff to do. So he's like, grab my arm. And then they just poof off, moving sonic speed through time and space to a new location. It's a rundown old house. He's like, what am I doing here? And Dumbledore's like, we have a mission. I need your help. They go inside and they find out they talk to a couch. The couch turns into a man named
Slughorn.
I keep forgetting. I won't call him Longhorn. His name is Slughorn. He's a former teacher at the school. And it turns out the house being destroyed was like a cover because the Death Eaters are trying to recruit him to part of their squad. Dumbledore's like, I got a better idea. How about you join my squad? And so Slughorn's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, you could teach Harry. And he's like, deal. I got this. So he's going to teach Harry potions and magical stuff. And so he's going back to school. Harry is with, and then cuts. Harry's with the Weasley Hermione gang, and they're just wandering around Diagon Alley. And all of a sudden they see out of the corner of their eye a rare, ultra rare Malfoy, a Draco Malfoy.
A shiny Malfoy.
And he's not a shiny.
A holographic Malfoy.
He's a shadow Malfoy. Get your Pokemon references correct. And he's skulking around. And so they're like, well, we got to go follow him. And they see that he is hanging out in a known Death Eater compound. And so they're like, oh no, we got to keep an eye on him. So they're on the train going back to campus, and Harry's like, I got an idea. I'm going to transform into luggage. But he doesn't know how to...
It was the invisibility cloak.
No, are you sure?
Because he throws it on him, remember?
Okay, that's right. Because there's a moment where luggage moves, and so it must have been him up there next to the luggage.
Yeah, we thought he turned himself into luggage, and I was like, that's really funny.
But he moved too much, and Malfoy's like, gotcha. So he pulls him down and kicks him in the face, breaking his nose. He's like, you got to be better than that if you're going to catch me on a bad day. And he pieces out. They all are getting out of the bus, and Luna fixes his nose. He's like, I'll be your buddy today. And they finally reveal, after 6 movies, that a shield has been put over Hogwarts to protect the students from the attacks, even though it took 6 movies, and that means 6 school years to protect the students. That's great, wonderful. And the teachers are inspecting student bags to make sure there's no weapons or hidden paraphernalia or Death Eaters in disguise as books. And so you see Snape and Filch, close. Filch are filling up people's bags and all that. They get into the school, and Dumbledore's like, hey, bad stuff's happening again. Thought you should know that. So we've made a change. Slughorn, you're in charge of potions. Snape, you're in charge of the Wizarding World of Dark Magic. You're going to be our dark magic instructor. And so finally we have a permanent instructor. It's great. And school starts. And Dumbledore tells Harry, your mission is that Slughorn taught Voldemort when he was Tom Riddle several years ago. And so he's like, I know that Slughorn had a conversation with Tom Riddle where Tom Riddle asked him a private question that has been blocked from the memory book. And so I know something was talked about. It was blocked, and Slughorn is the only one who knows what was talked about. But it was something so catastrophic that Slughorn pretty much went into retirement. And from that point, Tom Riddle started his power move towards being Voldemort. So whatever that conversation was, it was pivotal to our understanding of what turned Voldemort to Voldemort. So Harry's like, got it. He's like, I'll figure it out. And so he starts going to class. He's like, I'm going to be the teacher's pet. He starts hanging out with the teacher, going to his room for dinner.
Okay, so it's Slughorn, and this happened in college sometimes. I don't know if it's about school, because they're in high school, but he's like, oh, you show very bright promise. I'll show you accolades and like special attention and stuff because he's very like vain, I guess. He wants to, feel like he's the shining star of these successful students.
So in class, the first class of this new teacher, Slughorn's like, hey guys, here's some potions that you can have as a wizard. Here's a love potion that can make somebody not love you, but be absolutely infatuated with you. Here is a luck potion that for the duration of the potion, everything just falls into place for you. Wink, wink, hint, hint. And so he's like, for today's class, you guys gonna make a big amount of death potion to kill people. And these are students, these are 16-year-olds, so mind you. Harry's like, I need a textbook. He goes to the closet, he finds an old used textbook, and much as you do, these are full of notes. And it's from #the Half-Blood Prince. And he's like, I don't know who that is, but I'm going to use this textbook. And
if this was America,
oh boy,
it would be a bunch of the S's.
The cool S's.
The cool S's and a lot of pictures of something else that we will not mention it here. But if you have been in any type of American
with a lot of like Johnny was here in 1992 or whatever.
You know what else is going to be scribbled on those pages.
So Harry's like, I'm going to follow. So there's like special directions for each spell that are not in the book that are added in. He's like, I'll follow these. This look cool. And they are perfect to get him exactly an A for the day. And so he wins a vial of luck potion, which will be used later. And so he's now the prized possession of Slughorn. Slughorn like is endeared to him. And then we start a saga of romance. That is right. We watch Harry fall in love with Ginny. Ginny slightly like Harry. Ginny's in love with another guy,
which we know nothing about. We just see from a distance.
Yeah. A jock is in love with Hermione. Hermione is in love with Ron. Ron is in love with any female that moves. There's a girl, I forget her name.
The crazy one that's all about him. Lavender Brown.
Lavender is obsessed naturally with Ron. And so it's just this whole love circle. And nobody's getting with the partner that they ideally want to be with. And so it's just a big mess and it's just drawn out. There's dinners, there's kisses, there's crying moments. Ron is poisoned. Dumbledore's almost poisoned because of things. And it's just, I'm going to skip that part because it has nothing to do. It does not advance anything with the Voldemort stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why I gave it the 4.5. Like I thought it was
literally like an hour of this film.
Yeah.
It's awful. The only switch point is they're back at the Weasley household and the Death Eaters come to the house and they're like, oh, we got to go get them. They go out and while they're out, the Death Eaters set fire to the Weasley house and they just stand there staring at it as it burns to the ground. And so then they go back to school. And that's the pivotal point where Harry starts playing around with the book a little more. And he's like, oh, there's this new spell. There's a new spell. I'm going to try it out. So he's
for your enemies is what it says.
Yeah, it's for your sworn enemies. And so he's secretly seeing Draco sneak around the school, plotting his plot to do whatever Voldemort wants. And so he keeps going into the Chamber of Requirement. And he has like I would call it a wardrobe that teleports you from one location to another, but it's only between wardrobes. So there's another one and somewhere, and he's trying to figure out how it works, how something gets pulled from one place to the other, and he's also trying to poison Dumbledore. And so it's like, okay, it's pretty weird. And so Harry finally starts trying to confront him, and Draco's like trying to get away, and he uses the new spell on Draco, and it basically acts like a shotgun shell and like tears up Draco's chest.
Yeah, he just starts bleeding.
And so in walks Snape. Snape heals him instantly and says nothing about that. And it's like, okay, that happened. So Harry's immediately suspicious of both Snape and Draco. And finally, he's got the idea, I'm going to use the lucky potion to get information out of Slughorn. So he uses it, and a series of events unfold basically to lead to where Hagrid and Slughorn are with Harry and they're drunk. And so Harry gets the information out of Slughorn, and it's revealed that Tom Riddle, future Voldemort, asked Harry about Horcruxes. And so Horcruxes are like a lost legend in wizardry. Basically, if you kill somebody, you can transport part of your soul into an object. And that way, if you die, you can be reborn through that object. And however many times you kill somebody is another portion of your soul you can put into an object. And so it's revealed that Voldemort did this multiple times. They don't know how many times, but they know at least twice now. And they've gotten and destroyed one of them, which was the journal, and the other
diary
one,
from
the diary from the second movie, and the other one was
a ring that he found, or
I think Dumbledore already had it.
And it's so Dumbledore's like, oh yeah,
This makes sense.
He's like kind of insinuates that he knows already beforehand that he knew about the Horcruxes.
Right. It seems like this was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. That makes complete sense. Instead of like, that's something new to me. So he's like, Harry, grab my arm again. We're going to teleport and we're going to go and try to find the next location. And so they go to this secret cave and they have to get across this like forbidden lake in the dark. They get to this stand and there's a vial there. It's almost like a pot, and in the pot is purple water, and the thing is Dumbledore has to drink the entirety of this purple water, which just turns out to be poisoned.
It's cursed. It's not poisoned.
Okay. But basically, he has to drink the entirety of it without stopping to get to the bottom, which will have one of the Horcruxes at the bottom. It's like the only way to remove the water is to drink it. You can't pour it out. You can't dump it out. You have to drink it. But as you drink it, it slowly enables you to become insane. Like as you drink each sip, you slowly become more and more deranged. And so he's like, Harry, whatever I say, whatever I do, you've got to force me to drink this so we can get the Horcrux and break it. And so he starts like saying, like, kill me. I don't want to do this anymore. Please stop. He starts becoming like a sad old man. It's really weird to watch. He drinks it all, and all he's asking for is like, okay, I drank it. Please give me some water. Harry does not give him water.
He never gets the water.
Harry ignores the request to give his teacher, his mentor, water, and they are attacked by the sea creatures.
No, he tries. He tries to get water out of the sea area or whatever because he can't use that bowl.
Yeah, but he's a wizard. He should be able to like Aquafina and water's there.
Aquafina. I believe I did read somewhere that it's like impossible. It can't be illegal. I think it's impossible for them to make food or water with magic. I know, but it's like if they could do that, then all world hunger would be solved because they could just make food.
Anyways, they're attacked by sea monsters. Dumbledore gets enough strength to bippity-boppity-boo them away, and they teleport back to Hogwarts, and he's like, I just need a moment to recuperate. Meanwhile, while they're gone, Draco gets the wardrobe fixed, and he creates basically a passage from the Death Eater hideout in Diagon Alley to Hogwarts, so breaking through the shield that was put up. Death Eaters are now getting in, including Bellatrix. They are infiltrating Hogwarts. Draco goes to confront Dumbledore, and he tells Harry to hide. So Dumbledore hides Harry, and Harry's watching from a hidden area as the Death Eaters and Draco confront Dumbledore. It's revealed that the plan is for Draco to kill Dumbledore. He's like, I can't do it. I'm a baby brain.
He's not okay. There's a one redeeming moment where he was like, he kind of if he followed his heart and not what his dad and mom wanted him to do.
Right. And so he technically fails the mission, and in walks Snape, who snipes Dumbledore, and Avada Kedavra's him off the clock tower into oblivion, and Dumbledore is no more. And they are cheering, and the Death Eaters destroy the dining hall, and then they peace out. As they're leaving, Harry is chasing them down and is shouting, Snape, how dare you? How dare you betray Dumbledore? Dumbledore loved you. And he tries to use his new curse spell that he got that attacked Draco with. He tries to use on Snape. Snape blocks him, and he's like, guess what? How dare you use my spell on me? Yes, that's my book. I'm the Half-Blood Prince. And then he just like, bye. And he just leaves. They all just leave. They don't do anything with the school. They just leave. And so the school mourns the death of Dumbledore, and then they're like, okay, Harry, Hermione, and Ron, we're going to go find the rest of those Horcruxes, and the movie ends. So an hour is just drama, and about 30 minutes is nothing advancing the Voldemort story. We got the beautiful new Horcruxes, which is a really cool element, and then the movie's over.
Oh, and then we found out that the reason why they were trying to really put like the relational drama and the like romance and even like the way they shot it, now that I'm looking at it, is because this one came out probably around like 2008, and that was when Twilight first came out, and Twilight was kind of raking in the box office money, and so they were trying to compete a little bit with Twilight. Yeah, but I don't know if they succeeded in being, as good as Twilight. I'm a little biased, but
just saying, looks like Cedric Diggory dies and is reborn as a vampire.
Have they confirmed if there are vampires in the Harry Potter universe? Because there's werewolves. Man, I need to look that up. I don't know. I feel like there's so much. I feel like if someone were to ask J.K. Rowling are there vampires in that universe, she would just automatically say yes and like create them. That's what it feels like. It feels like there's so much that is just randomly there in the Harry Potter universe. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kind of move into what our topics are. We only have really 4 topics right now to kind of talk about this movie. And I think the reason why is because number 1 kind of explains it. We said that the plot was very thin on this one. It really didn't advance until the last 30 minutes, and it spent way too much of its runtime on teen drama. And so what we mean by that is like...
I would also say forced teen drama. It's important. It's like 90% of these relationships are just now occurring in this film. It's not like, oh, we're 6 films in, we've been fostering these beautiful romances for 6 movies. No, like Harry had no connection to Ginny until this movie, and Ginny's like slowly becoming infatuated. Like she was like admiring him, and she was kind of like enthralled by his, chosen oneness in the first couple of movies she appeared in. But then like last movie, she was pretty grounded. She was pretty like normal student. And then it's like, oh, she's now in a relationship. Okay. Now she's interested. Now they're both interested in each other. Okay. Now Ron is infatuated with any female that exists. Okay. And Hermione is being chased by this other guy. It's like, this is all just to pad the runtime, but also to force relationships for that teen drama demographic.
Like I said, the Twilight effect. We also said that there was not really any character growth or change. It didn't feel like these characters really, I don't say really went through anything, because Harry went through a lot in this movie, but all the characters just kind of feel stagnant. Like no one like learned or was changed in any way. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, I completely agree. Just because you go through something, if you're not growing at the end of it, then you didn't do anything. You didn't learn anything, especially in cinema. I mean, the fact that, I'm going to say this, if we ended the Order of the Phoenix and you cut out this entire film except for the last 30 minutes and you kind of smack that on the end of Order of the Phoenix, nothing changes. It's not like you're missing a whole lot of key details. Like, you learn about the Horcruxes, they go to do the Horcrux thing, Draco lets them in, bada bing, bada boom. There's an hour and a half worth of this film that is just absolutely worthless, that you don't need.
Yeah, I will say, and this goes into our second point, that the only character that changes technically is Draco. And also, this is the first time Draco is involved in the main plot of the film. Or not, I don't know if it's the main plot, but he's involved in the movie other than just being like the whiny little boy that is antagonistic towards Harry in the background. But yeah, so do you want to talk about how Draco was in this movie at all? Because I have some things written down.
No, I want to. I really do. But you don't get what the big thing is that's missing from his development is more either like monologue / even quiet scenes of him like doing more than just staring and fiddling with stuff. What I'm trying to say is we really needed more conversational scenes to draw out his thoughts and what he's wrestling with, because there are some scenes it's really shown. It's shown really well as him wrestling with what he's being asked to do. But there's other moments it feels like he's the same guy. It's just in a black suit and that's it. And I'm like, if you're gonna pull him from C-list character to B+ character, it's got to be more clear. It's got to be him. You get to hear more of his thoughts more rather than, oh, it's just the same guy from the last 5 movies whining, and then he continues to whine, and then he finally makes a good decision.
I really feel like we should have, throughout the movies, or even just more in this movie, seen him interact with his parents. We see him interact with Lucius a little bit. This is the first time ever meeting his mother. I think her name's Narcissa. Yeah, it's the first time we've ever met her, seen her, but it's implied, I don't really know if it's shown, that there's a lot of pressure from his parents. I think especially his father, because obviously his mother cares more about his well-being and his safety than like gaining favor with the Dark Lord, but that he really wants to be noticed and approved of by his father, and that's his main driving force for how terrible he is. And so at the end of the movie, where he kind of I guess he decides not to kill Dumbledore. It's like the first time he acts like on his own maybe feelings or beliefs or instinct, which kind of gives us like a hint of either he's growing or secretly he has a different heart than like his father. I don't know. I feel like his mom, maybe he gets that from his mom, because obviously she's so concerned about her son possibly getting wrapped up in this this and dying. But yeah, we're given more of a characterization and backstory with Lucius and Dobby in Chamber of Secrets than they are with him and Malfoy.
I think the big thing that I have a problem with is we get more of a story and not maybe just character development, but like character exploration with each of the dark arts teachers as they keep shifting in and out than we do with Draco Malfoy. And now we're expected to believe he is brought to the center of attention. So I'm like, why? The thing is, the things you were saying about the mom, those are all assumed. It's not based off of a whole lot of dialogue. It's not based off a whole lot of inferences. Nothing is really presented to us except for the first 5 movies. He's a bully and his dad is Lucius Malfoy. That's it. And so bringing him to the spotlight and then trying to give him, a character development, but we've got no dialogue, we got no background, we don't even really know anything about him except that for the last couple of movies, he's just been a pest.
I just noticed something you said about the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher. They kind of subverted expectation, and yet they didn't. They followed formula. So it's the new teacher is the potions master now, not the Defense Against the Dark Arts. But the new teacher still has a secret, and then also the Defense of the Dark Arts is because it's now Snape, and it's revealed he's the Half-Blood Prince, but also he kills Dumbledore, so he's also kind of proven to be false. Yeah.
How did we do this for 6 movies in a row? It doesn't, this is becoming the Scooby-Doo villain of the week, and it's like the same thing. It's the same guy you meet at the beginning of the episode who wants nobody at his park, or it doesn't want people to buy things. It's like, oh, if somebody's got a aggravation or a problem or some kind of weird motive, he's probably the villain. And lo and behold, it's the same thing every episode. It's rinse and repeat. But the thing is, this is a multi-million-dollar franchise. How do we not variate? How do we not deter from the same formula for 6 films and it not be old?
I mean, I guess it's really a question for J.K. Rowling, because she is the one who wrote pretty much the plot. That's, I guess, following the book. So I guess it's really her formula. But people were eating it up back in the early 2000s. So who are we to judge? Are you ready to move on to our favorite part of these episodes, Will? You know which one I'm going to say?
What does the magic do?
How does the magic work? How does magic work? We have been asking this question since day 1.
And it doesn't get any better.
And I have a list here. I can read...
Just read off the list, and then we will briefly talk about it, because time is not our friend with this movie, because we're going to run out of things to talk about real quick.
Hermione uses a spell just by speaking it, which is the Confundus spell. I believe it's this. Yeah, it's this movie. We asked potions versus casting. So you can brew a potion, but you can also cast a spell or a curse on someone. Is one more powerful than the other? How did you get to the point of making potions? Yeah, because there's a scene where Ron is absolutely head over heels over a new girl, and Harry's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be with Lavender. And he's like, I want this one girl. And then he's like, oh, you got the love potion. Let's take you to Slughorn. Let's get you cured so he can get back to normal life. And he's infatuated and talking, and they give him the potion that they oh, here's a drink that's a cure. And then the drink is poisoned. And then because the drink is poison, he almost dies. And so they get a cure for him, but it's another potion. It's yeah.
Why wasn't there an instant spell that reverse it or something? It doesn't make sense.
Also, love potions seem to be one of those things that needs to be regulated highly. It seems like that's forcing someone to do things against their will. And that's, that's not the American way. We are in England, but I don't know. Do the Brits care about freedom at all?
I mean, never mind. We're not going to get into the history. I'm not going to say anything that's probably going to get me in trouble.
Kind of adjacent to the love potion thing. Liquid luck is another possible plot hole like the time turner, because it's very powerful. And because literally Harry takes it and it kind of tells him where to go in order to get what he wants. And so could you brew a large amount of this? He says it's very hard to do, but you have someone like Slughorn, who's an expert at potions, brew a large amount of liquid luck and then give it to Harry, and he goes to fight Dumbledore, goes to fight Voldemort, or they drink it to go find the Horcruxes or whatnot. It just seems a little too powerful. And I know that someone made there's this series called The Boys, which I've never seen, but I've read a little bit about it because it was so huge for a time. It still is big, but the character Homelander is a satire of Superman. And it that show kind of is like, well, what if superhumans really existed, but they were like as faulty as humans? Like they were as greedy and evil and self-destructive and just regularly destructive. And Homelander uses his laser vision like 10,000 times more than Superman does. And he like just kills people with it. It's like an instant win whenever he uses it. And he's very overpowered in that way. And he like it's just the easiest thing for him to use. And so he uses it all the time. And so that's why I feel like things with like the time turner and liquid luck, it's like, why would you not use them all the time, especially in a desperate time like this? You're not even doing it for evil purposes. You know, why does Superman not use his laser vision more?
Or, just now thought of this, why wouldn't Voldemort try to get the time turner so he could go back in time and prevent different things from happening that keep getting him foiled?
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't his goal be, let's get the time turner, and we don't know if there's a limit yet. We have not heard about a limit on the time turner. Can he just go back and make sure he kills Harry? Or can he go back and add an extra Horcrux somewhere that only he knows about? Or can he go back and prevent himself from losing to Dumbledore in the fight?
Or go back and just tell himself what he's experienced so that his past self can make a different decision or something like that. Now that might mess up the timeline completely. We don't know any of those rules. We just saw it in the third movie and then it went away. So yeah. I feel like liquid luck, because they said it's really hard to brew, but obviously this is a very desperate situation. And so why not? Why not just make a big batch of it and make sure everyone who's vital to the fight takes it before they go to fight? Just saying. The dangerous curse / spell, so the one that Harry uses on Malfoy that makes him bleed, is made by Snape. Snape created it. So wizards can make their own spells. This isn't like, you know how like science isn't created, it's discovered. And so there's a part of me that was wondering, is like, is there like this ability that wizards have that it was discovered that if these certain words bring that ability about or whatnot? But I don't think that's the case. I think that because obviously Snape was able to create this curse and Harry just said the words and it happened. So how does one wizard's magic know how to like create and do a curse if all they know is the wording of it? They don't know what it does or how it works. Like, yeah, how does magic work? How does the magic work? But it is confirmed that wizards can just make up their own spells. But how do you go about doing that? Like, how do you know how to do that? Well, we're on the last point of how does the magic work, and it's a big one for you, Will. We learn about Horcruxes, this is like highly, highly illegal in the wizarding world because it includes killing as part of, you know, how it's made and whatnot. But you are really interested in this idea, and what do you believe makes it so unique?
I guess because trying to get the right words, but basically I think it's partially because there's a consequence to it. There's a cost to using it. You can't just like do it whatever. But also I think there's a lot of, it's ambiguity, but in a good way. It's questions, but in like, you want to know more and you want to chase after it more. Like it's a interesting plot device. So you start thinking like, okay, how many times can you do this? How many times can you divide your soul up? Is it infinite? Is it only one per one? So like one death equals one division. What are the limits to what products you could put your soul into? How does somebody else know that your soul is in there? How does somebody draw your soul out in case you need it? Can you rebond your soul to yourself? And the last one is, does something happen to your core self when you divide yourself? Like, do you start losing part of your humanity, your personality, your sanity? So is Voldemort the way he is because he divided his soul so much, or is it because the cost was death?
Like, did he give his nose up?
Maybe.
Is that why he doesn't have hair or a nose?
See, I feel like he cut his hair off in like one of these like 1990s like sports films. Like, I gotta be more like serious. I've got to show everybody I'm not the same. Or
in that like a manic girl who goes through a breakup and she like shaves her head. But maybe that is why he has his weird ghostly appearance. He's really thin and he has no nose. Like maybe that's because he doesn't have his full self, and so his body this body, I don't know if it was resurrected. It was like made. It was very weird. I don't know how Voldemort, because like we saw him from that little weird baby thing get thrown into the cauldron and come out as like a semi-formed man. So it's because he doesn't have a full soul. That's why he can't like fully generate into like a full human person.
Yeah, and then earlier in the show, earlier in the movies, he wanted to bond himself to another person. So that's another question. Is this related to the Horcruxes? Can you take one of your souls that are in an object and put it into another person so you get another version of yourself? How does that work? Is that person autonomous? A lot of questions and not enough answers. And this is one of the ones that I'm okay with that because I'm like, I want to see how it plays out. Now, if we get to the end of movie 8 and I've got no more answers for this, it's going to turn from a plus to a minus.
I think the next movie is just them hunting down all the Horcruxes. So
but how do you know how many there are? There could be one in Antarctica.
Yeah, it could be like, I don't know, like a rock that he was like, boo, over a cliff, but I guess maybe he has to be able to find it, or someone has to be able to find it in order for him to be like resurrected if he were to die. So maybe it does need to be something is somehow be able to be found. Last thing on how does the magic work? I just realized I skipped over it. When they apparate is when so Dumbledore like instantly travels through time and space. Well, not time, I guess, but through space to different places. And it's they said that there's like something placed upon the school that the students can't apparate inside or outside of it or to or from it, but Dumbledore can.
Which opens the biggest plot hole for me. I'm like, if they could just do that, how do they know? How do we limit this? Because couldn't they just apparate to Voldemort? Could they apparate away when Voldemort's there? Can they apparate constantly? Can they apparate like only places they've been? So it just doesn't really make sense. Like, it's a cool idea, but in reality, once again, this is an unhinged, undefined power. It could literally break a movie because now Harry could just apparate
just Applegate
apparate anywhere he wants. So Voldemort's here, apparate back to Hogwarts, to London, away from whatever. It's just limited to planet Earth. I mean, like, there's no definition to where this can go.
To the moon though.
It breaks the universe. It's very frustrating because Dumbledore should have been able to. Why couldn't he just apparate away from the clock tower?
Yeah, he did the Phoenix clap in that one movie.
I'm like, why couldn't he just apparate?
Okay, so the last point we're gonna make, it's true. Moral question mark. We always try to find like, is the movie trying to teach a moral? Does it have moments where it talks about philosophical or theological elements? We wrote down no obvious moral. This film literally is just the setup for the final battle. It's like just the breath before the final solo, the end of the series, the next two movies. There's no real character change, like we said, except Harry goes through more trauma as he does in every single one we've ever seen him in. And then we talked about Draco shown to probably not have killed Dumbledore. Like, he probably wouldn't have done it. It's a glimmer of a change in character, a growth in character for him. So I don't know if we can really talk more about that. We kind of talked about all those points. Is there any other parts of the film you're like, this, I want to talk about this? Like, it deals with morality or right and wrong or truth or... Not really. And nothing really changes from the past movie. I mean, I don't even think we see Voldemort this entire film. And the characters have not shifted at all from beginning of this movie / end of last movie and then the end of this one. Except for one doesn't exist anymore and the rest are just shifting their goal from finding Voldemort to finding Horcruxes. Everything else is almost exactly the same as it was last movie. And so it's hard to say there's a moral anything, there's any growth, there's anything to learn when the characters haven't learned anything. Welp. 2 to go. I guess we're at the end of this one. But yeah, there's 2 more to go. Next is Deathly Hallows Part 1. And I don't know what to say. I'm kind of just it's sputtering in the mud here. For anyone listening to this and they're like, wow, this one doesn't seem like this good of an episode, it's because this movie wasn't that much of a movie. There's not much for us to really dig into, and we were just kind of like, when we got done with it, we're like, that's it. That's the movie that cost millions of dollars. Was nothing happened. And the stuff that was interesting wasn't developed at all. Like the book, the Half-Blood Prince book, wasn't developed. Horcruxes, we got about 10 seconds of information. Even the backstory with Slughorn and Riddle, like, they could have had more of a flashback or something. Nothing really was fleshed out at all. It was just like, here's a few more points and we're just gonna carry everybody from one place to the next. And that's it. And so it's hard to expand on that anymore without repeating ourselves, without becoming long-winded. And so to any of you who were listening to this and were like, where is the rest of the content? It's just because there wasn't any in the movie. But we promise that these last 2 movies will have
plenty of content because we heard all about it when we were growing up.
Oh yeah. Actually, I forgot. We didn't even make this joke, Will, at the beginning. Snape kills Dumbledore, which I heard. I don't know do you remember that? I heard that on the internet. I heard that told to me randomly in the hallway. I heard it like yelled out in movie theaters. I heard it yelled out in like bookstores. Snape kills Dumbledore. Snape kills Dumbledore. Snape kills Dumbledore. It was like, hey, guess what? Snape kills Dumbledore. It was like the glee for every spoil sport. Every person who is like, haha, I get to troll anyone. You know, that was what the I don't know what do you call those kids that are like, hee, I get to like
jerks, I guess. I don't have any technical name. I didn't learn about Snape kills Dumbledore until a couple years ago. I was so distant from the franchise that I only learned about it when I was watching like I think it was like a video on like top 10 pop culture moments ruined by fans or something like that.
Yeah.
And so one of them was that where people would leave the movie theater while people were still in line to go see it for the first time. People were running out of the theater yelling
Snape kills Dumbledore, and then people like put it like on shirts. They would write it on stuff. They put it on the internet all over.
Yeah, and they would put it on forums and be banned, and so it became a big problem. And something similar happened when The Force Awakens came out, and when Han Solo dies. And people were waiting in line to see that. People would run out of the theater saying that, and it led to fights. It led to violence because people were like, "You're wasting our money, you're wasting our time." So the only reason I know about this, and mostly she knows about this, is because people were spoiling it for people who were genuinely interested in this plot.
Yeah, I didn't care at the time. I was just like, okay.
Well, so that makes it a little harder for us. That was like the scene when it came up was kind of numb because we already knew it was going to happen.
Okay, well, hashtag Snape kills Dumbledore. We're Two Christians Watch. I'm Hannah. That's Will.
Bye.
Yes, we're also with Metamorphic Site Productions. You'll get the little bumper at the end in like 2-3 seconds.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.